Hello, welcome to Richby's Life's Adventures. Now last weekend we had a quick trip away to the Lake District and we met up with Sam and Lisa and Riley from Crafty Blinders, and they showed us around a lovely village called Keswick. And we had a look round Derwent Water, Ullswater and Windmere. We did our first night away wild camping, thoroughly enjoyed it. Now it was a little bit cold when we went wild camping and we had tried getting the heating up and running before we went. Now some of this video that I'm about to show you is set a bit out of sequence, and we did try and get it up and running before we went, but we had trouble getting it bled up. I was trying to be a bit clever and doing a single feed from the header tank to the heating. It just struggled getting all the air out the cooling system. So what I've decided to do now is I've ripped it apart and redone it again so it self bleeds a little bit more. And here's the video of what I've done to get it going right. This is the clarifier that I'm going to be running. It will come up from these two pipes here, feed and return from the boiler that's mounted underneath the vehicle. It will then go into this lower coil of the tank, come out this coil and then return back to the boiler. Then it will tee off before it gets to the tank, come into this pipe here, go down through the floor to a heat exchange with a radiator, a fan on it, then loop round 25 feet of piping in the floor, and then come back out through this pipe here, and then going back to the boiler along with the water from the clarifier. Now I wanted a twin coil clarifier because these upper coils, that's going to feed my recycling shower. That's going to heat my hot water for my shower. Now it's only going to use the hot water as a heat source. It's not using the hot water in the tank for the shower. It's just extracting heat from that water. So I can shower all day on about 10 to 15 litres of water without consuming any of this hot water within the tank. It's just using it as a heat exchanger. The cold water feed will come into this pipe here, and hot water will come out there, which is thermostatically controlled, and I can set the temperature of the water. Now that tank is 22 litres. It's the smallest twin coil tank I could find from Shercow, and it's also got a 1300 watt immersion heater. Now on my electric hookup, one will go and feed the inverter. The second circuit breaker will come round here to an isolator switch, and then go from the isolator switch then to my immersion heater. So when I'm on electric hookup, what it will do is it will feed my immersion heater, so I don't necessarily have to run the diesel heater to heat my hot water. Now what I do plan on doing is using an engine block heater to heat the heating water for the floor when I'm on electric hookup. So it should be, when I'm on electric hookup, I shouldn't need to run my diesel heater at all. The diesel heater will be purely for just when I'm off grid. Now I've bought this 1 litre header tank. When this cupboard gets enclosed, I've got to mount this so it's the highest point in the heating system. So it'll be mounted about there, but level with the back. So I'll cut a hole in there for the cap to sit through, and then I'll put another hatch this side. Even though this side is going to be cupboard doored, I'm going to put a hatch here just so I can fill that up and get to these 12 volt consumer fuses. Okay, so I've got it wired, plumbed in temporarily, not to the hot water side. I was a bit frightened of the pipes that go in there and coil round. I didn't want them to be heavy with coolant when there's no water in the clarifier, so I've bypassed that, and at the moment it's just feeding the underfloor heating and heater matrix. So it comes out from the header tank, tees into there, which is the feed to the boiler. Goes around there into the boiler, gets warmed up, pumps back out the boiler into that pipe there, goes under the floor to the heater matrix. Then comes out of the floor round here into this bypass valve. I haven't wired in the fan yet, and the fan can isolate on this valve here, and when you see, look, it moves that valve, so that's all the way open, that's all the way closed. So then what it does, it gets circulated through a radiator in here that has a fan in there, and these will all get ducted to wherever I want it ducted to. Then once it's been through that heat exchanger, it'll come round here and then into the underfloor heating, zigzag along the back of the floor and back to the boiler. All this is going to be neatened up. This is just purely for a weekend away in the Lake District when it's going to be a bit cold, so we want to get the heating up and running. So it comes through the floor there, zigzags backwards and forwards to the floor, comes back out the floor and then back round to the boiler. And if it needs to take any more from the header tank, it'll take it again from the header tank, or if it needs to expand, it'll push it into the header tank or pull it, whichever way it wants to go. So now I'm going to fill it up, check for leaks, and then I'll have a go at firing it up. So at the moment it looks like it's leaking, but that's where I've overfilled it. It's just pushing it around the system, getting it all bled out. That water on the coolant on the floor is where I've bled. There's an air screw on there. Lots of air in it, as you can hear. Right, it's timed out. It's done like a priming cycle. Now I'm going to go and turn the fuel on, and it should hopefully kick in then. Right. And remember, I've got this fuel tap. It's in the off position at the minute. Give it a quick prime up. That's it. Just need it to take a bit more coolant, really. I haven't put that much in there. Okay, so the situation is with the heating. I thought I was being clever by doing a single feed from the header tank. Two reasons that it's very good. What it's doing is it's creating an airlock system in it. I've tried pressure bleeders on it, vacuum bleeders, all sorts of things, driving it around, all sorts. Big mistake I made is that is not the highest point. It should have been up here. And two, I think I need to do a feed and return to the header tank mounted there. So what I'm going to do, the return from the heated floor will come into the side of the header tank and gradually sort of fill the header tank. Then what it'll do is it'll suck it out the bottom of the header tank and suck it back into the boiler. So the air's got no choice but to be pushed around the system and then eventually work its way out within the header tank. So that's what I'm going to do, and at the same note as well, I might as well plumb it into the calorifier so that it's ready for it to start heating the water when I get the water plumbed in. So my next step is now to get the system all drained out and start dismantling some of these pipes. Now, we took it away to Lake District like this, and although it worked, every time you could hear a bit of air in the system, it tripped out because it was overheating the water that was in the boiler. And then every now and then it'd run all right, and then every now and again you'd hear the air in it and it would trip out. So nearly all the air's gone, but it's not working as efficiently as it should. So once I get the twin feed and return to the header tank on the return side, only on the return side, it should self-prime, get all the air out. And like I said, I might as well tap into these lower coils of the header of the clarifier as well. So let's get started. Okay, so I've replumbed it. So basically what it does, it will come out the header tank, go down into the feed of the boiler. So the boiler is the first port of call off the header tank. What it'll do then is it'll suck it round via the water pump that's in the boiler, through the boiler getting hot. It'll then come up via this other one and tee into the clarifier. It'll go around the coil of the clarifier and then out through this side, and then tee back into the cooling system. I can isolate the clarifier by switching it off. Okay, it's on the return side out of the clarifier, but it doesn't matter really whether you stop it going in or stop it coming out, it's still going to stop the flow. So once it's gone out of the clarifier, it'll go back into the header tank and circulate back again. On the same note, where it tees on at the back here, it'll also come round, feed the underfloor heating, through the underfloor heating, and then back up through this pipe, back into the tee and back to the header tank. Now via the heat exchanger, I'll show you in a bit, I put the valve in with the dial so I can isolate the underfloor heating and the heat exchanger. So if I just want the hot water heating up, I can just switch that off, and all it'll do is it'll circulate from this tee through the clarifier back out to this tee and then back to the boiler, or back to the header tank then back to the boiler. And on the same note, if I want just the heating and no hot water, I can open the valve up near the heat exchanger and then isolate this, and what that do then is it'll stop the flow going through the clarifier and then just circulate the water through the underfloor heating and the heat exchanger. Now if I want both, I just have them both open, and what I've done here is I've had the tee going one way on one bit on the output, and then the opposite way on the tee on the input. Let me just show you there. So the tee is giving better flow one way on the feed, but it gives a worse flow on the exit, and vice versa. So it should work out that it gets quite a balanced flow. So now what I need to do is I need to get the system all bled up and try switching it on. So I'll show you in a bit when I start filling it up. Right, here we go guys, going to start putting the coolant in. Meanwhile I'm going to keep checking for leaks. I don't want it filling my van up. Seems to be taking it a bit better than it did before. As you see before, I only took a little bit and it kept on saying, you know, kept on saying it's full. So what I've done is I've switched the boiler on with my little program, and that's helping to self-prime the heat and making sure I've got both valves open on the clarifier and the header tank. Don't know if you can see in there, but it's taking the coolant down quite happily. just overfilled that now. You hear the boiler's kicking in. I'd like it to take a bit more coolant than that still. I mean, that was, and there'll be some still left in it, but I've probably put another 2 litres in that there. Well, I'm going to switch that off. What I don't want it to do is overheat the boiler. I want it to just keep trying to circulate that coolant round at first. I don't want it to trip it out, but it smells like that boiler was getting proper hot then. As you can see, it's doing a lot better job of self-priming. Yeah, it still adds a little bit in there, probably add 1/3 of a litre in there, maybe even 1/2 litre from when I had it before, because I can't fully drain it because I haven't got no bleed screws up towards the front. I've only got bleed screws at the back to drain it out. The header tank water's nice and hot, so it's proving that it's heated that up properly. Trying to get it out from where I spilt it. It's a nightmare. I think I got it though. There's just a little bit left around there. It's nothing major. I'll leave that for a few minutes. The level's dropping, so it's definitely bleeding out. Right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same again, but with the heat exchanger at the front switched off. So that'll isolate the floor, and then it'll just purge the water through the clarifier. At the moment I've only got the heating element of the clarifier running. I haven't got no water in the clarifier or anything like that. So I'm going to get that turned off, and I'll circulate it again. Right, that's that tap isolated. So now what it's going to do is just going to push the water just through the clarifier at the moment. Oh yeah, loads of air in that. Still sounds like there's a bit of air in the pump though. Can you hear it? Still, you can hear the water. You shouldn't be able to hear it. You should just hear the whirring of the pump. If I keep agitating the pump, it'll build pressure up. So what I'm doing is opening and closing the valve to the clarifier, and that'll build up pressure and then shove it through. Can you hear the note change? I don't know if it's picking up on camera. But the water's definitely circulating in the header tank, so boiler's kicking in again. I'm going to go and open the tap up at the heat exchanger again. Again, I'm going to agitate this lever, open and close it for the clarifier. Oh, look! Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. Yes, yes, yes. Can you hear that? I'm going to put just water in there now. Turn the pump off again. I don't want to overdo it. Turn the boiler off rather. The pump's sounding healthier all the time as the air's coming out of it. So I've got to mix this 50-50. So if I can get about 2 litres of water in it, this was full, so if I can get equal amount of water in it to antifreeze, I know that's 50-50. We're not far off the same amount now, so right. Yes, this is much better. Loving it. Again, keep flipping the lever backwards and forwards on the clarifier. I'll tell you what, them pipes are getting toasty warm. I mean, the boiler's actually switched off at the minute. It's just self-purging on cool down, they call it. What it doesn't do, if you switch it off, it doesn't stop straight away. It keeps that water circulating and lets it cool down gently rather. Look at that, loads of air. Loving it. Yeah, boy. So it's finished its cool down period. So what I'll do is I'll press this and you'll see a symbol come up there, and that's sort of manually switch it on. Now I'm going to get rid of this program because I don't want it on time wise, I want it temperature wise, so I'm going to put a separate one in for the hot water and a separate one for the heating, and I can change what temperature it cuts in and out of. So that little symbol there just appeared. Water pump's kicked in, then you'll hear the blower furnace, and then the ticker pump goes tick, 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 and it gets faster and faster, and it'll gradually start firing it up. Oh, this is so efficient at pushing its own air out now. Should have just done this from the start. I was trying to be clever doing a single feed, and it obviously don't work. And this water is flowing like a good one through this. It's amazing. Still air coming through. It's probably going to take a while, you know, getting rid of all this air. And because it's antifreeze in it, it's self-lubricating. A lot of people calling it glycol, but it's only because antifreeze has got glycol in it. But that's all it is. It's just run-of-the-mill engine antifreeze. G13 I was using, but that was when I first tried it. Now I'm just using antifreeze with summer coolant, so it's basically got a lubricant in it as well, which is basically the glycol side of it. Just keep agitating this clarifier tap. You can't see me do it, but I am doing it. And every now and then a bit of a bubble comes through. Keep checking for leaks as well. Leaving the boiler on a bit longer this time. I mean, it's proper rawing away, you can probably hear it. See a bit of steam coming out of there. I don't know if it's picking that up on camera. Water's warm, not hot, you still, you know, you can still stand your finger in there. Let me just take you down so you can see the boiler. Around the vehicle checking for leaks. You still hear it pushing a bit of air through every now and then. Doesn't appear to be any leaks. This is that tap that I keep calling it agitating, but all it's doing is agitating the water. That's the only reason why I say that. Every time I do it, it lets a bit of air push through, so it's obviously doing some good. Even a bit of steam coming off the pipe, so it's obviously getting hot. See, all I'm doing at the moment is it's just feeding the clarifier. Cold water would come in here, hot water would come out there. That's your mixer tap, so I can set what temperature it comes out. This is my second coil, and this is what's going to heat my recycled shower. This here is a pressure relief valve, so it gets too much pressure in there on the hot water. This valve will blow out, and I've got to put a hole in the floor, and it'll just go poof, dump air, or dump water pressure rather, to external to the outside. Now it'd be clean water, so, and it shouldn't really do it that often because that boiler shouldn't get that hot enough to justify putting that overpressure, but it's a safety relief valve. You have the same on your boiler system on your hot water cylinder in your house, so it's just a safety feature. That should never really ever do it really, but it's better to have that blow off than the tank explode. Yep, pipes are lovely warm now. Right, let's get the light on the situation so you can see what I'm looking at. You see that water flowing through there? Might be steaming you up now. So it's got some good old flow going through there. What's happened now, the boiler's reached temperature and it will trip in and out as it sees fit. Now when I get the heat exchanger going, that'll take some of the temperature out of the water, so the boiler will actually kick in for longer. I tell you what, that pipe is bloody hot now. Wow, wow, you could not hold your hand on there for long. Right, let's go and do, I'll leave the valve open there. Let's go and do the one the other end. Right, so this is the one the other end. So I'll turn that off. What that does is isolate the floor heating and the heat exchanger that's in this bench seat. So all it's doing at the moment is circulating that water through the clarifier. Okay, let's open it up again. Do that a few times. Right, I'm going to lift this bench seat up just so you can see what's going on in there. Right, so this is what I've got going on in here. Ignore this pipe here at the minute, that's for my water fill pipe that I've got put through the floor yet. So it's coming up from the boiler here, comes around this pipe here, and this is that valve. So when I do this knob on the front, when I do this knob here, you can see that operating that. Now I'll leave a link in the description where I bought these valves from, and it's operating in there. Now I haven't wired in the fan in this yet. It's a 2-feed fan and it goes off to this speed controller and this knob here on the front. I want to change this knob so it looks more like that. So once I change that, it'll look more like this, and then I can set how fast the fan blows. I've got one going to this fan and then one going all the way along under the seat to that vent there. I'll have two going round underneath the shower floor. One will go to near the back doors and blow up against the back door so it's like an air curtain, so you don't get a draft from the back doors. One will go into the cupboard between the shower and the bed so Debbie doesn't get a cold draft, and this one here will go into the shower so it'll make the shower act as a drying room. So that'll utilise all five vents. This, when I've had it full bore, check the amps, and it's only pulling about 6 amps when it's on flat out, so it's not exactly a high energy consumption fan. But if I don't want to run it and I just want to run the hot water in the floor, well, I just don't switch that on. And then in the summertime as well, if I don't want to run the heating, I can still switch that on and have it blowing as a cooling fan. These pipes here are nice and hot, very hot indeed. So now the test is the floor hot? What I need now is a temperature reader for that. Now the sun's bearing down on the floor right now, so it's going to probably not be much different, but I'll get a temperature reader and we'll see what difference we get. Right, so as I go across the floor, it is a warm day. As the temperature gets colder, ambient temperature that is, it will make more of a difference. So it's 18 degrees there on the warm, on the cold bit 17.9, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So nearly 25 degrees where the pipe is. That's quite a significant difference. And where I go away from the pipe, the further away I go, the colder it gets, and the closer I get to another pipe. 27 at point peak there, 29. So it's quite a difference. 17. Get closer to a pipe again. 27 at peak there. Now, you can feel the difference in the floor, hot spots and cold spots. Now, the more time it spends on, it will thermally heat the cold sections in the floor, and obviously the more ambient temperature drops, the more difference it will make to the floor. I mean, here it's piping hot. That is very warm there. A bit colder there. There must be a pipe somewhere around there because it's warm there as well. So that's quite a difference, and that's gone up and down there a few times by the time it gets to here. So let's go and check over near the door and see what the temperature is over there. Now here the door's been open, so it's been in the sun, so it's going to have less of a difference. 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's obviously a pipe there because it peaks at 23 point something. Let's go over here. 17, 18, 19, 22, 23, 24. So there's a pipe obviously just here, and that bit of floor is toasty warm. So me and Debbie are going to have nice cushy warm feet next time we go away. I'm well excited with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to temporarily wire up that fan in the heater box just to see what temperature reading we get out of that. See if it's warm. Okay, so out the vents, getting about 20, oh, nearly 30 degrees. .3, 30.4, 31 at peaked at there, 32, 33.3, 33.8, 34 degrees, 34.4, 36.1 degrees. That is toasty. So I don't think we're going to be short of heating. 37 degrees, 37.6, 37.9, 0.8, 38, 38.1 degrees, still climbing. At the moment I've just got, I'll show you what I've got, look. So I've got a battery charger running on my fan. And what it's doing is it's blowing out of these vents. I bet it's coming out there quite a lot now, I've blocked them off, isn't it? Yeah. What are you thinking, Deb?
I'm just thinking we're going to have probably Rosie here and Izzy there.
Yeah, we're going to have two happy dogs. Heated floor.
Yeah.
And blow vents.
The dogs are going to love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like I said, we can isolate that with this valve here. Turn the heating off or on, depending on what temp. That would be temperature control, and then that's fan speed control. But at the moment, I've just got it flat out on, like I said, on the battery charger. I ain't finished the wiring. Oh, the floor's toasty warm here.
You can feel where the pipes are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There.
And as the longer it runs, the more even the temperature will go, because it'll thermal mass heat the floor. Yeah. So we're all ready for a winter trip, aren't we, Dev?
Yeah, maybe next weekend, yeah.
Yeah. few more wild camping trips to do. Right, we've been running now for about 3/4 an hour, half an hour. So now I'm going to check the temperatures again and see what sort of difference it's made, because now all the thermal mass is starting to get heated up. The boiler hasn't been tripping in and out now because we've got the heater running flat out. It's pulling that heat out of the fan, out of the pipe, enough for it not to keep tripping the boiler in and out. If we was to turn the fan off, the boiler would trip out because the coolant would get hot. For those people who wanted to know, the fan pulls out about 8 degrees difference between going in the fan and coming out the fan. So it's got quite a thermal drop on that fan has. Anyway, let's see what sort of mass we've got on the floor now. So we're reaching about 30 degrees on the floor now. And then it drops down again away from where the pipes are, back to 30 degrees. Now let's see what temperature we're getting here. Now this is the furthest one away at the moment from the fan. .49 degrees we're getting out of that fan. That is proper warm. So I think we're quite happy with that. So I think I'm going to wrap the video up there. If you like what you've seen, please like, please subscribe and please share. If you really feel like it, hit that little bell icon, you'll get to all our future videos. And on that note, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.